Westwood One presents America at Night. Here's your host, McGraw Millhaven.
All right, it's Friday night. Thanks for checking in. It's America at Night on a Friday night. Thanks wherever you are in the country. We just put the finishing touches on the show a couple of minutes ago. Let's get right to it. Hour number 3, of course, is going to be all about phone calls. And, by the way, we may or may not be talking about Bo Bichette today as he signs with the New York Mets. So we'll get into some of that, a little baseball news later on in the hour number 3. Hour number 2. Wirecutter is a organization that's involved with the New York Times, and what they do is, we've had them on the show before, they're sort of like the 21st Century Consumer Reports, and they went to the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and they came back with a wild report of all the new gadgets and new things and TVs and all the things that will one day be commonplace. Matter of fact, I think they broke the story a couple years ago that there was this thing called a microwave that you were able to heat food instantaneously in your home. And all these years later, look at that. Everyone has a microwave. So we'll check in with Wirecutter a little bit later on in hour number 2. Also, Friday night, Hollywood exec for a day, Theo Lewis Clark, is going to try and stump us. He has 3 projects. 2 of them are real from produced movies that were greenlit by Hollywood movie executives. One of them came from his creative mind. We have to figure out which one's the real one and which one's the fake ones. That's in hour number 2. Hour number 1, on NewsNation, starting on Monday, Katie Pavlich is going to kick off her debut show. And our friends at NewsNation were nice enough to hook up an interview with Katie Pavlich. And so we're going to check in with her at the bottom of the hour as she gets ready to launch a new show on NewsNation, which I think is going to do very well and bring a lot of voices to NewsNation. So we'll check in with her a little bit later on in this hour. But for this first hour, though, we wanted to have some fun. It's a Friday night. Take it easy. There's a lot of angst going on in the world, and we thought we'd spend a couple minutes with a gentleman who had a career in television entertainment. And yes, he was one of the ones that was on the Hollywood junkets. He would go and he would get to interview all the stars. Back in the day, they had this thing called movie theaters where the movie stars would promote their movies as they were going into the movie theater, and they would then sit down and talk to reporters. And one of those reporters is Michael Mackie, and he's written a brand new book, You Have 4 Minutes, My Life as an Unlikely Celebrity Interviewer. Michael Mackie, thanks for joining us on America at Night.
Hey, M squared. It's can I call you M squared, because that's what people call me. We're both M squared.
Okay, sure. Well, you can call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Duly noted.
So the book is You Have 4 Minutes. And somebody at work handed me this and said, you would love this book. And I said, I don't have time. I picked it up, and I haven't put it down because it's a great read. And the reason why you're on the show is one specific reason, and I'm gonna lead with it because I want to know everything there is to know. You interviewed Lindsay Wagner of the Bionic Woman fame. I thought I was the only one who had a mega crush on Lindsay Wagner, and it turns out she's an icon for our entire generation.
Mega crush. Also, did you know that I think yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the debut of the Bionic Woman, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was.
I didn't know
50
that.
years ago yesterday, the Bionic Woman debuted on ABC. So
well,
it's only fitting that we're talking about her today.
And it was a spinoff from the $6 Million Man, was it not?
It was. You know, in the original, in the $6 Million Man, Jamie Summers died at the end of one of the episodes, and fan reaction was there was such a fervor that ABC very wisely brought the show back, and it ended up getting bigger ratings than the $6 Million Man.
Holy mackerel. So was she as nice as you think she would be?
She was incredibly nice. I was an idiot because I was so flummoxed because when you have your literal childhood crush and this iconic figure that you grew up watching when you were wearing, footy pajamas, I shut down. I think my tongue stopped working. Actually, I think I had a small series of mini strokes. I just could not get words out of my mouth. And she, this is what I remember, and this is what I wrote about in the book, is that she was dressed in this very like Gaussian, flowy, almost like crepe paper outfit. And so when she ambled over, I swear to God, she floated over to me, and she was like, "Hello, I'm Lindsay Wagner." And my tongue swelled to like 50 times its normal size, and I was like, "I'm not." And she's very into woo-woo things. She's very esoteric and woo-woo, and she spent 3 minutes tapping on my face, literally tapping her fingers on my face to get me to calm down. And then we went and did the interview. That is a true story.
All right.
And
you didn't.
It was
well. I'm glad you're not as flummoxed talking to me as you are Lindsay Wagner. That's good. Michael, people don't understand as a reporter and those junkets. I got to hand it to you because those things are hard. People don't realize you get 5 minutes. You have to build rapport. They've been asked the same question 19,000 times. You have to sort of ask the same question, but in an original way. They don't want to be there. You're trying to get something creative out of them. It's a really tough gig.
I was lucky if I got 5 minutes. Like, that's why the name of the book is You Have 4 Minutes, because I had 4 minutes. And there was a stopwatch involved, and they'd be like, "Ready, go." And then you have 4 minutes to get a smattering of questions in, somehow make chatty banter and rapport, and try to make a connection so that you have usable stuff when you get back to the station. So I learned quickly and early on that I had to do my research, and I had to find some questions that the masses weren't asking. In math.
Yeah, right. But you also have the 4 minutes, so you're hurrying, but you also have to look like you're not hurrying to the audience, right? You have to look like, oh, this is a 20-minute conversation, and we're just shooting the breeze, and, well, tell me about this puppy of yours that you got, right? And so, but they don't want to talk about the puppy because all they want to do is push the movie.
Exactly. So you have to find a happy medium. So usually my first question right out of the gate was whatever they were shilling at the time, whatever movie or whatever, I would ask them the obligatory question so that they could ramble on for 60 seconds. And then that gave me 3 minutes to ask, the stuff that I had done all my research and background info on.
Right. What was your worst interview?
Oh, that is a genuine toss-up. Well, Tommy Lee Jones is right up there because he is just a classic curmudgeon who, bless his heart, he hates junkets and he hates being interviewed. And I was his very first interview of the day, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to get him fresh and frosty. And I think he said maybe a total of 12 words in 4 minutes, maybe 13 if you count as 2. So it was bad. I knew it was bad. I just didn't quite realize the quiet amount of contempt that he had for me and I think all reporters that day.
I would think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Do you have a second one? Do you have a runner-up? Do you have an honorable mention?
Easily. It was Chris Kattan from Saturday Night Live when he came to Kansas City and he was on our morning show. I don't know exactly what Chris Kattan was on allegedly, but he was very, very sweaty and incoherent and proceeded to inexplicably eat an apple during the interview. Not like funny, haha, Mr. Peepers eat an apple, like just took an apple out of his coat pocket and just started gnawing on it like a horse, like a really sweaty, babbling, incoherent horse. Bless. And
you of course have to sort of get something out of that. You have to find 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds so you can justify flying to wherever you are to get it done. Michael Mackie with us. The book is called You Have 4 Minutes, His Life as a Celebrity Interviewer. Let me ask you this, because you would interview people, right? Like a Jennifer Aniston or somebody who came out with a string of movies. So you would at least get to interview them 3 or 4 times. Did they get to know you? Did it get easier if you knew them and you did it 3 or 4 times?
Okay, so here's a funny story. So I talked to Jonathan Van Ness today, who is one of the Queer Eye for the Straight guys when he's on Queer Eye. And they're coming out with their last season. I think it debuts, their 10th and final season debuts next week. And so I was talking to him today. Well, they shot seasons 3 and 4 here in Kansas City. And so I chatted him up a couple times, but I had no idea that he remembered who I was. And at the very end of the interview, I'll be damned if he didn't legit say, have you sound familiar? Have we met? And I said, yeah, I've chatted you up a couple times. And he goes, I thought I recognized your voice. Now, whether he did or not, I was just saying that. But we had really good banter and rapport. And then he was like, well, you know what? Come on. I want you to come backstage when I'm here. And so I said, thank you, my friend. And so I'll be popping back to see him when he comes in early February. He's on tour with a new comedy show.
Okay. Did you tell all your tales? Did you tell all? Were you catty? Did you leave some out? Were you somewhat fair? How'd you write this book?
I spilled a lot. I spilled a lot of tea. I told all the tales. So much dirt. I think one of my favorite stories in the book, and I actually had, this was 25 years ago. So I actually had to go back to my boss and ask them if this really happened because he was there. But I interviewed WWE's Shawn Michaels. And 25 years ago, Shawn Michaels, wrestler, was at the zenith. Like, this was before The Rock. And Shawn Michaels was the end-all be-all wrestler. And he came in to do some promotional bits, whatever, anyway. And as I sat down to interview him, we are probably maybe 60 seconds in when he ripped the loudest and most vile fart in the history of flatulence. And let's just say I paint the entire picture in the book of Shawn Michaels, who may or may not be dying from the inside out. At least that day he was. So
I love the blurbs. The book is You've Got 4 Minutes, Michael Mackie. The foreword is by your friend, Cindy Wilson from the B-52s. Right? You must have made friends with her over the years.
Cindy and I have become chummy. I as a burgeoning teenager, then I can tell you exactly where I was and what I was wearing when I spied the B-52s for the first time on MTV. And I don't know, at the time, I literally said to myself, I will be their friend someday. And I willed that to happen. And when I was putting the book together, my publisher challenged me to, find a celebrity that I really liked to write the foreword. And it was always Cindy. It was never not going to be Cindy Wilson. I've always been obsessed with her, and I'll be darned if she didn't write the most heartfelt foreword. And it was really very sweet. Did you notice, my friend, that there are 52 chapters in the book as an homage to the B-52s?
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, a little snowflake there, right? That's what you call it. I think the blurbs are the best. Anna Gasteyer from some Saturday Night Live writes, we never met in person, but he told me to say this is a good book. Helen Hunt says, I'm sure it's fabulous. And Carolyn Ray says, oh, my goodness, I got to think of something to say.
I think my favorite was Patty Lupone, who said, I haven't read it. I barely know you. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it, Patty Lupone. That doesn't say that you like it, but it doesn't say that you don't like it. So there you go.
God love you. Michael Mackie, what are you doing these days?
Still interviewing celebs. I write for a local publication called The Pitch. It is our local rag here in Kansas City, and they've been very good to me. They just they let me pitch whatever I want, and whatever celeb sort of seems to be coming into town, I seem to get first dibs on their interviews.
Could you ever tell when the star knew it was a bad movie and they just had to pretend to try and sell it to you?
No. I never had anybody just try and placate me, even if the movie was garbage. I will say there were times, I think when I interviewed Jennifer Connelly, it was for a movie that literally no one saw. I think it made $100,000 at the box office. And yet the movie studio flew us out to talk to her. And they were like, it's a very serious movie. And Jennifer Connelly is a very serious actress. Because I'm kind of a twit. I'm kind of irreverent when I interview people. And so I put on my game face and I interviewed her like she was going to win an Academy Award for this movie that nobody saw. I think it was called
funny.
Waking the Dead. Literally, no one saw this film.
Michael Mackie is the author of a book where all fine books are sold. You have 4 minutes. My life as an unlikely celebrity interviewer. Michael, thanks for cleaning our palate tonight. Good luck down the road and hope to check in sometime in the future.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, and have a great weekend.
Have a great week. Michael Mackie, you have 4 minutes. It's a fun read. Somebody who loves celebrity and pop culture. You'll get a kick out of this one. Hey, let me tell you about these statements that have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products I'm about to talk about are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. If you're like me and you had a good time during the holidays, and I'm not just talking about the cookies, I'm talking about the heavy food, the sweets, the alcohol. It was great, but all of that can take a toll on your liver. You made the resolution to get healthier. And that's why you need to find out more about Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver is available in easy-to-take tablets or delicious gummies, and it's an important part of your daily wellness routine to keep your body detoxed and feeling its best. Now, since I started using Active Liver with New Nordic, I've noticed less digestion issues, better energy. I feel healthier and less worn down. Seriously. Take my advice and get your New Year's off to the right start by adding Active Liver as a simple, delicious daily detox. Active Liver is available at Amazon, NewNordicUSA.com, or pick up some today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or now Active Liver is available at Wegmans. New year, new you, New Nordic.
From the heart of America, this is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. This is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Hey, last night on the show, somebody asked me if Larry King and Jim Bohannon's show was archived anywhere. I got the information for you. Listen to this. George Washington Libraries has over 40,000 sound recordings, primarily in audio cassette and reel-to-reel audio tape from the Mutual Broadcasting System from the 50s through the 90s, including Jim Bohannon's show, and they've broken it down here. I can't go through all of it, obviously, but Jim Bohannon going back to the 1993, starting in 1993. They've got Larry King in here through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Holy mackerel, George Washington University has quite an extensive collection of Mutual Broadcasting Systems, as well as a whole bunch of other radio programs. They have the Larry King Show from the Miami years in the 70s, Larry King Show from 1980 on. Holy mackerel, George Washington Libraries, a full collection, not full, can't imagine it's full, but a 40,000 sound recordings of Larry King and a lot of other people, including Jim Bohannon. So there you go. That's the latest there. Hey, stay right there. Katie Pavlich from NewsNation. She was on Fox. She's headed to NewsNation. She starts Monday, but she's going to join us next. America at Night. Back in a moment.
This is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. This is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Welcome back, America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. And this show is 7 weeks old, so I get a little sense of how difficult it is and how crazy you are to start a new show. Our next guest, Katie Pavlich, joins NewsNation for her first show Monday night at 9 o'clock called Katie Pavlich Tonight. She joins us for a couple minutes. Katie, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Great to be here.
How you ready to go for Monday night, or are you how you feeling?
Ready as we're gonna be. We'll wait for a couple more news cycles to go through here, and then we'll be ready.
I can only imagine how exciting it is, and it's a Herculean task to sort of get it started. What's been the best and worst part of the lead up?
I think the best part is that we booked President Trump for an interview from the White House next Tuesday, which will be the one-year anniversary of his second inauguration. So we are thrilled to be kicking off the week with him and to ask him about the year prior and, of course, what's to come with the rest of his administration. But the show has been amazing to watch being built from the ground up, the creative process of thinking through, okay, how can we make this different? What kind of guests do you want to come on? How can we utilize that we're in Washington, D.C., and this is where everything is happening when it comes to politics and the news. So, and then there's the creative side of, building graphics and segments. And so it's just been really exciting. And I have a great team that NewsNation has built around me. And I'm really looking forward to kicking off on Monday.
Don't you love it when people ask you, oh, so what's the show going to be about?
Depends on what happens that day.
I always say, well, I don't know. Do you have Tuesday's news handy? If you have Tuesday's news handy, I'll be happy to tell you what the show's about.
Exactly.
Coming over from Fox to NewsNation, with the world being what it is, can the audience expect you to be more conservative, less conservative, middle of the road? Sort of, are you going to change it up a little bit because you're on NewsNation?
Oh, the audience can expect Katie Pavlich to be Katie Pavlich and to keep running her own race. And I've been a conservative my entire life. I will continue to be a conservative no matter what venue I'm in. And NewsNation has done an amazing job over the last 5 years of building a growing network of news for all Americans. And they're recognizing that there is an appetite for conservative political opinion and news coverage at the network, which is why I'm thrilled that they've allowed me to step into this 10 p.m. slot Monday through Friday to present a point of view that millions of Americans happen to hold. So I think that fits in nicely with their mission. Yeah,
the thing about NewsNation that I find quite refreshing is all angles are welcome, and there's a safe place to go and talk about your own opinion, even if it might be a minority opinion or different from somebody else.
Right, exactly. And, while I will be unabashedly conservative and it will be a conservative show, we will certainly have on people with different points of view and different perspectives, and we plan to have disagreements and debate. We don't plan to necessarily be fighting with each other. So we're excited to have those debates, and I always love winning an argument against the left. So looking forward to doing that.
So talk about the conservative world today, because a lot of people say the Republican Party is sort of splitting in two. The conservative movement isn't what it was or what they said it was a couple of years ago. It's a very different political landscape, both on the liberal side and the conservative side. How do you answer that question?
Well, nothing ever stays the same. So even political movements are always in flux and always evolving and moving. But I would say that these big headlines we keep seeing from the media about there being a split on the right are really overblown. I mean, you have a lot of people online trying to sow these disagreements about what President Trump is doing, and it doesn't mean that everyone agrees with every single thing, but generally speaking, polling actually shows that the conservative movement and the Republican Party is pretty happy with the President Trump's agenda. And when I talk to friends and family who live outside of the Beltway and outside of the internet on a regular basis, who are conservative and Republican, they have a very different view of what's going on and don't think that there's a split at all. So, there's a difference between having disagreements and not being hive mind group thinking political party. It's another to have open debate. And next year, of course, or this year rather, is midterm elections. But when the presidential elections come, just because we're having a primary process doesn't mean that there's a split.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think the demise of the news of Trump's base, going away is greatly exaggerated. I think the base is still very much with President Trump no matter what. But it's the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world. It's the Liz Cheneys of the world. It's the Jeff Flakes of the world who are conservatives but don't really have a home in this conservative party.
I mean, I think that there's been a few people who have had large platforms or who are very well known who have made a lot of noise, and their actions to leave Congress or to leave the Republican Party have gotten a lot of attention, but they're not representative of the whole of the right.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because if you listen to the Bernie Sanders of the world, if you listen to the AOCs of the world, stripping away all the political and all the personal, they talk a lot of America first. They talk a lot about the same things, oftentimes in the same way as the right. Right, Mondami and President Trump apparently are buddies now, and capping credit card interest is very similar to capping rent. And so there's a lot of similarities, even though they're at each other's throats oftentimes.
Well, we're seeing that people are more and more don't want to be tied to a political party. They're politically involved, but they don't want to identify as Republican or Democrat. And the truth is that the issues that they're discussing are issues that affect everybody: housing, inflation, affordability. So just because people from different sides of the political aisle are talking about it doesn't necessarily mean they agree on the way that they should move forward with solving the problem. I mean, Mamdani's talking about confiscating homes from white middle-class workers and homeowners. President Trump, of course, knows New York well. He wants New York to succeed. I think he's interested in having a hand in the way that New York approaches their affairs, even though I don't know how he has time for that. But yeah, there are some things that they agree on in terms of them being issues, but I think the way that they decide to solve them may be very different. Yeah,
no shortage of topics to talk about. Katie Pavlich, who's getting ready to kick off her show Monday night and Tuesday, the get of the month, no question about it. President Trump's going to join you on Tuesday. Katie Pavlich Tonight on NewsNation. Find it on your local cable station. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and I have no idea what that is, Mountain and or Pacific. So I'll leave it to the smarter people.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Katie, hey, have a great weekend. Good luck,
Thank you.
I know you'll do well, and congrats. And we hope to talk to you down the road.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
You got it. Katie Pavlich tonight on NewsNation, America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. Back in a moment.
From the heart of America, this is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. Join the nightly conversation, America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Hey, a couple of interesting stories I came across today, America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. So let's talk energy usage for just a minute, because in the 1950s and the 1960s, the use of energy in the United States grew 8 and 9%. I'm rounding here, right? 7, 8, 9%, 8% in the 50s. 7.5% in the 60s. Now, why was there such a giant energy growth in the 50s and 60s? Well, believe it or not, stoves, refrigerators, air conditioning, all of that drove this electricity usage in the 50s and 60s. In the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it was pared way down. In the 2000s, the annual growth of energy usage in the 2000s only grew less than 1%. And they're expecting from 2025 to 2030, energy usage in this country is going to grow by 6%. Now, the question is why? You've got it. Data centers. Data centers so we can grow artificial intelligence. I'm telling you, I don't know anything. Don't listen to me about anything, but I'm telling you, this is going to be the next fight in this country, because Americans don't want to live near data centers. Just anecdotally, I went to lunch this week with a Trump, not a supporter, I mean a Trump lover. The man and his family and his business love Trump more than anybody. He's been a friend of mine forever. And he recently bought a house. And they recently announced that the acres and acres and acres behind him is going to be a data center. And the man is apoplectic. And I said, well, your buddy Trump is full steam ahead on artificial intelligence. And not only that, but they passed a law in Washington, D.C. that said states can't regulate artificial intelligence. It's only going to be the feds. So when you go to your HOA and you go to your town or you go to your county or you go to your state and you try to lobby for artificial or for data centers, there's a law that says the state can't regulate it. It's only the feds. And so this fight or this argument about data centers is going to blow, if it hasn't already. You're talking about 200 acres of a data center, which is going to use more electricity. It's going to use more water. It's going to take that beautiful vista outside of your back porch and turn it into a data center. And if you don't like windmills, if you think windmills aren't very pretty, wait till you get a load of a data center. They've opened up a couple of them, and they're only getting bigger. And so hold on to your hat, because this fight between artificial intelligence and data centers, it is upending what people are considering conservative and liberal and everything else. And Donald Trump right now, and I know he changes his mind and changes his political leanings at the change of the wind. Right now, he's full steam ahead for artificial intelligence, but I'm not so sure his constituents are for that. So we'll wait and see how all that turns out. BlackRock came out with a list of job growth. These are going to be where the job growths are for the next 10 years. You ready? We're going to need 10% more electricians in this country. We're going to need 9% or 8% more HVAC technicians. We're going to need 5% more elevator installers. We're going to need 5% more carpenters, 5% more plumbers, 5% more iron workers, 5% more insulation workers, welders we're going to need more of. That's great. America is in the middle of a growth spurt. Why is that? Well, in large part, it's because of the data centers they want to build. But you can't, right? And if you want to build manufacturing plants, you're going to need carpenters and plumbers and HVAC guys and gals and electricians. And so where are these people going to come from? Nobody's really had this conversation, because right now we don't have enough electricians. We don't have enough carpenters. We don't have enough plumbers. We don't have enough iron workers. We don't have enough HVAC guys. You talk to anybody who owns a business, the number one thing they'll tell you is they can't find human capital. They can't find it. And so if we are going to somehow grow this economy, we got to figure out where we're going to get these people from. So the fact that they're throwing them out of the country is counterintuitive to what they actually need. We should be training these people so that they can do the jobs we need them to do. Speaking of that, there was breaking news just as we were coming on tonight, and I don't think it's being portrayed in the national media as a big story. I'm not so sure this is a big story, but it is what it is. We can talk about it. A federal judge tonight ordered ICE agents not to retaliate against people in, quote, engaging in peaceful and unobtrusive protest activity in Minneapolis. And they are asking ICE not to stop drivers who are not, quote, forcibly obstructing officers. Now, I'm certainly not a lawyer, but this federal judge that imposed these restrictions on the actions of these ICE agents towards the protesters in Minneapolis, this suit was filed before Renee Good was shot on January 7th. It's a preliminary injunction, and it stems from a lawsuit filed by activists who said that the agents have violated their rights. We'll wait and see what this means. Now, I think we get back to the argument over what is considered peaceful protesting, what is engaging in peaceful and unobtrusive protesting activity, who makes the argument over whether or not these drivers are forcibly obstructing the officers, right? That's the whole argument. So the judge says don't do it. Okay, but Renee Good was in the middle of the street. Was she obstructing? That's the argument. We'll have to wait and see. And finally, Monday night, it's for the national championship. Miami Hurricanes against the Indiana Hoosiers, right? It sounds so bizarre to say. I'm all in for Indiana. I'm rooting hard for Indiana. They've had, right? They've never won a national championship. They're undefeated. They got the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm rooting for them. And how's this for a little nugget? John Cougar Mellencamp donated $1.5 million to build the team's practice facility. And they call that the John Mellencamp Pavilion. Now, I don't know if John Cougar donated it or John Cougar Mellencamp or John Mellencamp, but they called it the John Mellencamp Pavilion. Now, you may or may not know that John Mellencamp likes to smoke. And apparently on the campus and in the football stadium, you're not allowed to smoke in the football stadium. But their donor, John Mellencamp, just gave them $1.5 million. So how can they tell this guy who gave him $1.5 million and they named the practice facility after him that he can't watch the game and smoke? Well, they solved this problem. The school built a wooden shack atop the stadium so he can sit in this wooden shack and smoke to his heart's content so he can watch all the games and smoke. So there you go. There's a way to appease everybody. So he's not bothering anybody. He's sitting in his wooden shack atop the stadium, and he's watching his Indiana Hoosiers and the practice facility, the John Mellencamp Pavilion. So there you go. We'll leave you with that. All right, stay right there. We're just getting started. The Consumer Electronics Show was in Vegas. Wirecutter was there. They're going to tell us about all the newfangled gadgets. Also next hour, Theo Lewis Clark is going to join us, Hollywood exec for a day. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, it's your phone calls, whatever you want to talk about. So stay right there. We're just getting started. A relaxing and conversational Friday night after a long and tough week. Our executive director is Alex Hinton. Our engineer tonight is Richard Good. I'm McGraw Millhaven, and this is America at Night on Westwood One.
Westwood One presents America at Night. Here's your host, McGraw Millhaven.
Friday night, a little bit later on in the show, our television exec for a day, or I should say Hollywood exec for a day, Theo Lewis Clark's going to join us, and he's got a game we play every Friday night, and we might invite a listener to join in and see if they can play the game. The game goes something like this. Theo Lewis Clark comes up with 3 movies. 2 of them are legitimate movies that were signed off on and made by Hollywood and signed off on by a Hollywood exec. One of them comes from his creative mind, and we have to figure out which ones are the real ones and which ones are the fake ones. And he's pretty good at at coming up with some creative movies that have never been made, and some wild, wild plots that you'd never think were movies were actually movies. So we'll do that a little bit later on. But a week or so ago, it was a Gadget Geeks Super Bowl, because they had the 2026 Computer Electronics Show, and if you love gadgets, you geek out over the Computer Electronics Show. And so we're going to our favorite, Wirecutter, who has produced what is, I think, the best. It's a great website called Wirecutter, and they research just about everything. It's sort of the consumer electronics or consumer reports for the 21st century. Well, Wirecutter has put together a list of some of the best products they found at the Consumer Electronics Show. And so we invite in to America at Night for a couple minutes, Caitlin McGarry. Caitlin, Senior Tech Editor at Wirecutter. Thanks for checking in on America at Night.
Thanks for having me.
Did you see everything? I mean, it's a pretty big convention. Did you get to see everything?
Oh, my goodness. Probably not, but I walked miles and miles, so hopefully I saw most of it.
Set the scene for us. How many booths do they have? How many people show up for this thing?
Oh, my goodness. It's, I think, about 140,000 people come, and the booths are spread out over the Las Vegas Convention Center and then another convention center at the Venetian, and it's just pure chaos. There's tons of people from all over the world. Everyone's trying to see the latest thing. There's lines of people trying to see these new TVs, and it's just like, it's really overwhelming, but also really fun.
How much of it is these things will never see the light of day, right? And how much of these things are sort of soon to be out and or out already?
I'm going to say it's probably 50-50. We see some pretty ridiculous things, but there's also, we saw a bunch of stuff that already has release dates and prices. So it's not all just, way off in the future type stuff.
Yeah.
There's actual stuff there too.
So what's the idea of a computer or a company to come and prototype something that is, won't see the light of day? Are they looking for investors? Are they just looking for a little press, a little buzz? What's the point?
Oh, all of the above. I mean, this is a great opportunity for people to make some headlines, especially if they have, something unusual, something that people might talk about for, a week or two after the show ends. But it's also, for a bunch of companies to, get investors or like drum up some interest in technologies that aren't quite ready for prime time yet. But if they had some more money, maybe in a few years, things could change.
Yeah. All right. The one that I... if I had all the money in the world, I want to make sure it works. But what about this robot that folds your laundry?
I have to say, I think it sounds cooler than it looked in person. I feel like every year we see robots that, are supposed to be like a personal assistant for your house and do all these chores that, who wants to do the chores? So it would be great to have a robot do that stuff for you. But this one in particular was so slow at putting laundry in the washing machine. Like, honestly, it was like watching paint dry. It would be better to just do it yourself.
So $10,000 to get annoyed that the robot's going so slow, you kick the robot aside and just do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, good. Let's talk TVs, because TVs is always sort of, everybody wants to know what's the latest and greatest in TVs. I don't know if they can get any bigger, and I don't know if they can get any thinner, and I don't know if they can get any sharper. But what were they saying at the Computer Electronics Show?
Yeah, so we saw one from LG, which makes a bunch of TVs. I'm sure people listening have an LG TV or something similar. They announced a new wallpaper TV, and it's just so incredibly thin. Like, you think they can't get thinner, but then they do, and it's wild to see in person. I'm sure it's going to be like $1 million, but yeah, it was really cool.
So it was. I mean, you stick it on the. I mean, it's wallpaper. It's that thin.
It's really thin. It's not quite like actual wallpaper, but it's like 1/3 of an inch thick. Like, that's wild for a TV.
And so, is this available, or what was the? When is this going to hit the market? No. So this is a total prototype.
There's no price or release date for this one, but LG does tend to release the TVs that they show off at CES, and they also showed like really interesting concepts. Like, I think folks might remember a few years back there was like a rollable TV that sort of like unfurled itself. I don't know if that one ever actually came out, but it is cool to see this stuff, even if it's not quite ready for prime time yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What was the one that you gasped at? What was the one that you said, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe this"?
I gotta say, there was a robot vacuum that has legs that can climb stairs, And I was like, finally, like, this is the biggest problem with robot vacuums. Like, they see a set of stairs and they just like turn the other way. They're like, we're not even going to try that. But this one can actually like climb the stairs and clean each stair as it's climbing. And I think that would be useful for people.
Yeah, we have a Roomba, and it always gets stuck under the couch. So have they been able to fix that problem?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think with legs, it could probably like crouch a little lower, maybe.
Okay, all right, good. They also have one for the lawn, right? They have a lawnmower that kind of does the same thing. It's a Roomba for the lawn.
Yeah, so we saw a bunch of new robot lawnmowers, and they use like lasers to help them navigate around your yard and like mow the lawn better, more effectively. And one of the ones we saw has like 4-wheel drive, so it can like mow, steep slopes. And I mean, who likes to mow lawns? So I think that's going to be pretty great.
Actually, I love to mow yards, so that's a whole other issue.
All right,
good.
Yep,
but
this is not for you.
a 4-wheel drive lawnmower, but what about a 4-wheel drive snowboard? Tell me about that one.
Oh my goodness! I think you found something that I did not see. I did not see the 4-wheel drive snowboard.
Oh, okay.
More.
All right. All I know is that it could go over terrain and over the rocks and through the woods and everything else. It was not just a regular snowboard, but it had a snowboard with an attitude, I guess.
Wow. Okay. I'm not quite sure who needs that, but yeah, why not?
Hence the segment. Tell us about somebody I saw put out what looked like a BlackBerry, and I was confused. Why would they put out a cell phone that looks just like a BlackBerry?
So there's a big trend these days of, tech nostalgia. Like, we miss the way things used to look. We miss when we weren't on our phones all the time and things were just a little bit like tougher to use. Like, you had a physical keyboard on your phone, so you weren't, who wants to use that all the time? And I'm probably aging myself here, but I loved my BlackBerry. So this one is actually coming out this year. It's called the Clicks Communicator. It's going to be about $500. It's an Android phone. And I mean, people are buying old BlackBerries on eBay to like set them up as new phones today. So I think people might actually be interested in this.
So it's a keyboard, right? It's a little smaller. It's a little keyboard that you hit the buttons, and it's just not as smart as your smartphone, right? It's just more of a pared down phone, guess, right?
So yeah, it's a smaller phone. It has the physical keyboard, and then Clicks also has a different keyboard that they sell separately that you can use with any phone. And again, the physical keyboard, like really bringing back like that tech nostalgia, like the way things used to be.
Speaking of not the way things used to be, Legos, right? We all loved Legos, but now how are they making a smart Lego?
So the Legos that we saw at CES, it's called a Smart Play system. And basically each of the Lego bricks have sensors. So they can like interact with one another, they can change colors, and they can turn your sets into like this sort of interactive experience. So it's not just like you use your imagination to create this world, like it's actually turning into that. And those are coming out in March. So I think people are going to be pretty excited about it. All the buzz that I saw afterward from folks was like about these Legos.
The Lego, the smart Lego. All right. What about glasses? Everybody wants to get into the glasses game. Tell us some of the neat glasses you saw.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of new glasses. Honestly, nothing really, really exciting. Obviously, Meta has its pair of glasses that just came out a couple months ago with the screen inside the lens. So you can see, like if you're walking down the street, you can see Google Maps directions like inside the glasses. So we're seeing more things like that. I don't think anything really rises to the level of like, oh, that's a must-have, but I'm curious to see where it goes next because I think people are really looking for solutions that let them leave their phone at home or like in their pocket and just sort of get away from that addiction. So I think glasses could be a solution, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
Caitlin McGarry with us, senior tech editor at Wirecutter. She was at CES in Vegas, and she's checking in with us. What about the smart refrigerator? How smart is my refrigerator going to get?
Every year we see these smart refrigerators. They have like AI that can tell what food's inside, and they can connect to the internet, and you can display photos on them. And honestly, I think they're just like ridiculously expensive, and I don't like any appliance that you have in your home that connects to the internet is just like more susceptible to breaking. We did a whole piece last year. I really recommend people read it. It's about like why appliances don't last as long as they used to. Because I think we all know, like our grandparents, like they had the same refrigerator for like 30 years, and now it's like refrigerators break after a few years. So, and one of the reasons is because they have all of these like new components and new sensors that maybe they just don't need. So I'm sorry, but I'm not on team smart appliance.
Yeah, I have my grandmother's refrigerator in my garage right now as we speak.
Oh my gosh,
it works great. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
One more, and we'll let you go. Tell me about this sleep tracking alarm clock that you put on the side of your bed.
Yeah, the sleep tracking alarm clock is really cool because, usually if you wake up with your phone, it's kind of like jarring. You're like, oh my God, okay, yes, I'm waking up if I have to, or you're just like snoozing. But so we saw a sunrise alarm clock called the Dreamy, and you can listen to like sleep sounds while you're sleeping, or you can just just wake up like gradually with the LED lights that are in it. And it can also track your sleep. It has sensors, so you don't have to wear like a watch or a ring. If you just want to know like how you're sleeping at night, it can tell you. And that one's coming out sometime in the next couple months. It's going to be $280. So that's a real product that we saw. And that was one that I think I might buy that one. Like, yeah.
Caitlin McGarry, that was my last question. What did you buy anything from the show?
I didn't buy anything yet. I did see a couple of things from Pebble, which, if anyone remembers, like they were one of the first people to release a smartwatch. It was like very basic. They have a ring that basically everyone at Wirecutter saw this ring and they were like, yes, we love this. It's just it doesn't do a whole lot, but it has a microphone so you can take notes. It's just for like recording your own notes into it. Like you're in the shower and you have a thought and you're like, I'm going to forget this. I'm never going to write this down. You just turn on the ring, say your thought, and then it stores everything for you. Like you can return to it later. And it sounds bizarre, but when we saw it in action, everyone was like, yeah, I would use that. So,
all right, there you go. Caitlin McGarry, senior tech editor at Wirecutter. She was at the Consumer Electronics Show, and she checked back with us. Look, Caitlin, tell everybody at Wirecutter, we love it. New York Times /Wirecutter. I love your site. I love what you guys do. Keep on keeping on, and we'll get you back at some point. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Caitlin McGarry, senior tech editor at Wirecutter. Go to NewYorkTimes.com/Wirecutter. Hey, let me tell you about a better digital life with our partner, Webroot. New year, new devices, new you, and with the Webroot, you get new peace of mind. Get help protecting your devices, your identity, and privacy in 2026. Choose the protection that fits your life with Webroot Essentials or Webroot Total Protection. Webroot makes it easy to choose the protection that's right for you. Got a new device? Webroot Essential delivers lightning-fast antivirus plus password manager and Web Threat Shield, helping you protect your devices, your personal info, and your passwords from malware, ransomware, and more. We chose Webroot Total Protection. It's the all-in-one device privacy and identity protection that takes the guesswork out of cybersecurity. Now, new year, new device. Whether you're upgrading tech or sticking with what you've got, now is the time to protect all of you and your family's devices with 60% off. That's not a misspeak. 60% off Webroot's trusted cybersecurity solutions. This year, choose the protection that's right for you and visit webroot.com/AAN. Make sure AAN is in the lowercase for 60% off. That's webroot.com/AAN That's lowercase AAN for that 60% off. Make sure it's in lowercase for 60% off WebRoot.
America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Hey, my free speech rights are being infringed upon. Richard Good is making me break again. Stay right there. When we come back, we'll check in with Theo Lewis Clark and play Hollywood Exec for a Day. You'll love it. Back in a moment. America at Night.
This is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. You're listening to America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
All right, it's Friday night. Thanks for joining us, America at Night. And every Friday night, since we've got started, we brought back Theo Lewis Clark by popular demand. Theo Lewis Clark, welcome back to America at Night.
Hey, man, good to hear from you.
All right, good to be heard.
You guys. What's up,
All
Alex?
right.
What's up, Richard? How you guys doing?
Good, man.
All right, that's Richard. And then, Alex, are you on the line?
I am, and I'm ready to go.
All right, Alex is our executive director, and Richard is our engineer, and they are participating this week. Next week, promise me we'll get a listener to chime in on this, and we'll have maybe we'll get a gift certificate to something for one of these guys if they win. But I don't think so. Here's how the game is played. Here are the rules. The game is called Hollywood Exec for a Day. Theo Lewis Clark comes in, and he has 3 Hollywood projects. 2 of them are real movies that have been greenlit by real Hollywood executives. One of them is created from his mind. We have to figure out which is the real one and which are the fake one. Which 2 are the real and which one is the fake. And with that, Theo Lewis Clark, you have the floor.
And it's a doozy this weekend, guys. So is it number 1? In busy New York City, a famous midwife stumbles upon a priceless painting hidden in the walls of an old building where she delivered her last baby. Now, in her quest to uncover the origin of that painting, she discovers that a clever, oversized rat is the painting's guardian. And an unlikely friendship forms, and they band together to solve more mysteries of the art world along the way. Or is it number 2, Bartholomew and Reuben? They find a couple of pair of sunglasses, but those shades are not ordinary. Once 2 people are wearing those sets of shades, they can manipulate the other person to physically do whatever their mind wishes them to do. Or is it number 3, it's a tomato. It rises from her garbage disposal. It backs her into a corner, kills her. Now, when the police investigate, they find that red substance that's covering her, that's not blood, that's tomato juice. Now, a series of attacks begin to happen all across the cities by other tomatoes. Okay? Oh, yeah, you guys will not guess this time.
All right.
Is it number 1?
Go ahead.
Oh, come on. Is it number 1, New York City, famous midwife, she delivers a baby, the last building she does it, there's a painting, there's a big oversized rat, and they start finding out things about the art world? Or is it number 2, you got sunglasses. You got yours on, I got mine on. Now I can make you do whatever I want you to do physically. Or is it number 3, tomatoes rising up all over the world just to kill people?
All right. Let's start with Richard Good. Richard, what do you think?
In my 37 years of life, I've never heard of a tomato rising up and killing anybody. So I'm going to say the tomato story. It just sounds too crazy for me. I was going to say number 1 because I haven't seen any rats that teamed up with anybody either, besides Ratatouille, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, so you say the killer tomato that attacks humans, that's the fake one.
That's the fake one.
All right. You were locked in on number 3. Alex, what do you got?
All right. Well, I'm going to start off by saying I think I'm a big horror movie fan, and I got some bad news for Richard because I know that number 3 is a real movie. So I might not be on Blues Brothers, but I know that one. So I'm going to go with number 2, the sunglasses one. Because the rat one's just wacky enough that I think it might be real, but I'm gonna go with number 2.
Yeah, I'm with you, Alex. I was not going to pick number 3 either because that's such a dumb idea. Some Hollywood exec signed off for that stupid idea. But sunglasses, I don't think it's the movie They Live, which was a great movie with Rowdy Piper, I think the guy's name was, right? Or was that Rutger Hauer? I forget which one it was. But that was the movie where you put the sunglasses on and you could then figure out which ones were the aliens and which ones were the humans. That was a great movie, by the way. So I'm going to say...
Fantastic movie.
I'm going to say number 2, the mind-altering sunglasses came from the creative mind of Theo Lewis Clark. Final answer.
Okay, great. So let's start off with McGraw. Bartholomew and Reuben, they find a couple pair of sunglasses. Those shades are not ordinary. Once 2 people are wearing the set, they can manipulate the other person to physically do what their mind wishes. That was from the great comedy duo called the Coreys, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim in 1995, called Dream a Little Dreamer 2. That's a sequel to Dream a Little Dreamer 1989. So you are definitely wrong. And then Richard says the tomato rises from her garbage disposal, backs her into a corner, kills her, other tomatoes. He was convinced that was a fake movie. That's 1978, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which means nobody gets number 1, which means I stumped you all exactly. And I'm going to read it because it's so brilliant. In busy New York City, a famous midwife stumbles upon a priceless painting hidden in the walls of an old building where she delivered her last baby. Now, in her quest to uncover the origin, she discovers that a clever, oversized rat is the painting's guardian. An unlikely friendship ensues, and they band together, solve more mysteries of the art world along the way. That's in Theo's world, and it's called Rat-a-tat-tat. Rat-a-tat-tat, baby.
That's actually, you know what? That's actually not that crazy of an idea for a movie, actually.
Of course,
I thought it sounded like one of those one of the animated films would have had a plot line like that.
Of course, you guys are. Yeah, you're furthering my point that I'm a genius. Entertainment. There's a re-release in entertainment in the movies. Lord of the Rings. They celebrate 25 years. You got until January 25th to see all 3 of them. You got the trilogy. So this weekend has got all of them. You got Peter Jackson going to do some great introductions. You got special collectibles at the theater. So you got the Fellowship of the Ring. You got the 2 Towers, whatever. I never watched them, but all 3 of them for you guys. And then also for you Trekkies, I got y'all. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. It debuted last night. The Starfleet Academy, it trains the next generation of officer. Now, it stars Holly Hunter and comedian Tig Notaro, but the focus is all about the young cadets. So you're welcome, Trekkies. You got that. And on Netflix, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they get back together. They have a new movie called The Rip. It's got Tiana Taylor, fresh off her Golden Globe win. She just won the Golden Globe acting alongside Sean Penn and Leonardo DiCaprio. So she's the new it girl, and now she's in another new hot movie. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, it's called The Rip. They're like Miami cops. They stumble upon $20 million, and now these 5 cops got to decide, oh, do we keep this money? What do we do? Whose money is it? So it's supposed to be a great thriller, and it's based on a true story. That's my favorite genre of movie, based on a true story film and also idiotic comedy. So this is a based on a true story film that you guys will love.
All right,
so
I got a question.
It, man.
I got a question for you. What was the number 2 movie with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman? What, Dream Another Dream? Yeah, Dream.
Dream a Little Dream 2.
Well, okay, but was Dream a Little? Was Dream a Little Dream 1? Was that also about mind-altering sunglasses?
No, that I don't think so. It was 1989. Dream a Little Dream 1. I think it was. There was both Corey's, but I don't know what it was about. Yeah, but
how about Attack? How about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? That was a nice one there, Theo Lewis Clark. There you go.
Got you, Richard. I knew you was. I knew somebody would fall prey to that.
You got
all right, your head's as big as the Statue of Liberty. We'll let you go. Theo Lewis Clark, Hollywood exec for a day. Theo, have a good week. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Okay, you too. Thank you, man.
All right, there you go. All right, we hang our head in shame as we go back to our corners. How dare Theo Lewis Clark beat us? But come on, Richard, you should have known that was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And then Dream a Little Dream. Holy mackerel. All right. Hey, when we come back, I got a couple of stories. I watched that Die Another Day, Another Battle After Another, whatever that one is with Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn, which I like Sean Penn. I have no problem with any of these actors, but I tried to watch that movie. I watched the first 20 minutes, and all I saw was the sex and the blowing up of things. I didn't quite get it. Then somebody told me to watch. I don't want to watch it. Oh, watch it till the end. It gets better. Why doesn't it get good in the beginning? Anyway, so I guess I have to give that one another try. I'm actually, after the show tonight, I'm going to stay up late, and I'm going to watch that Song Blue. That it looks like a pretty good movie. So I'm going to grab some popcorn after the show tonight and fall asleep watching that movie on my couch. So that's the plan. But first, we got to come back. I got a couple stories I might tell you. I'll give you the latest news and have a late night conversation. I'll tell you a Friday night story about my brush with greatness in honor of interviewing celebrities. I got a story about a celebrity that I ran across, my brush with greatness. We'll come back and tell you that story. And then, of course, open phones next hour. America at Night. Back in a moment.
America at Night with McGraw Millhaven, where the nation comes to talk. Join the nightly conversation, America at Night, with McGraw Millhaven.
All right, we got a couple minutes left, and then we'll head towards open phones next hour, and then the hour is all yours. So I told you I'd tell you a story about my brush with greatness, and in honor of our first hour guest, Michael Mackie, who wrote the book, You Have 4 Minutes, His Life as a Celebrity Interviewer. Here's my brush with greatness. Told the story before on the air, but never told it on America at Night. It gives you a little inside info into who I am and what I do and how I do it. So we're going back a number of years. Well, first I'll back up a second. So as a Irish Catholic growing up in Long Island, the movie The Brothers McMullen is one of the greats, right? And Ed Burns, who wrote the movie and directed it. It's a great story. If you've never seen it, actually, they just came out with the sequel. It's called The Family McMullen, and I think it's on Netflix. And Ed Burns is right around my age and grew up on Long Island. And in his, I would have been, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, wrote this movie and borrowed money, credit cards, borrowed money from mom and dad, and made this movie, The Brothers McMullen. And it's a story about an Irish Catholic family growing up in Long Island. And the story goes that he was working as a production assistant at Entertainment Tonight, and on the weekends he would take home, the equipment. He would smuggle it out of the studios, go home, work on the movie, and then bring it back on Monday. When he was finally finished with the movie, he was apparently wiring up Robert Redford for an interview, and he slipped him the movie and said, hey, check this out on your way home. A few weeks later, he gets a call, and The Brothers McMullen has been accepted into the Sundance Film Festival. It wins, and then Fox Searchlight Movies was just getting started, and Fox Searchlight Movies, the first movie they ever bought and then distributed and, got behind was The Brothers McMullen. And it's a very quirky, independent movie about growing up as an Irish Catholic on Long Island. So years later, I'm working at a radio station, and I hear that Ed Burns is in the studio, and he's promoting some other project he's got, and he's in the studio. So I'm smart enough to know that when the segment's going to end, and I know which door he's going to leave out of the studio, and I know which hallway he's going to walk down. So I may or may not have perfectly timed it so that as he is walking out, I'm walking down the same hallway. And so I just happen to bump into the gentleman. And so I say, hey, Ed Burns, nice to meet you. McGraw, Millhaven. I grew up in Long Island. He says, hey, where'd you grow up in Long Island? I said, Manhasset. He says, oh, I grew up in, I think he said Valley Stream. Oh, sure. Where'd you go to high school? Manhasset. Where'd you go to high school? Chaminade. How old are you? Oh, my goodness. Wait, with the basketball team. Yeah. So we start up a real conversation. And he's talking to me about, wait, did you play with this guy? Oh, were you on that team? And did you know this guy? And, oh, I knew that guy. And this guy went to Chaminade, but he was before me, and he was after me. And right, we're playing, and we're bonding. We are totally bonding. And I'm thinking in the middle of this conversation that he's going to invite me to lunch. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be pals. And shortly after lunch, he's going to invite me on to be a character in his next movie. I'm thinking, right? So after about 5 minutes, and he's sort of pushing away his handlers, like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm enjoying this. So there's a natural lull in the conversation, right? There's a natural lull, and there's a pause, and there's a moment of silence. And in that moment of silence, I then get Tourette syndrome, and I just start spewing lines from The Brothers McMullen. I just start spewing them. And I get through the first one, he's like, oh yeah, funny. The second one, he's like, oh yeah, like by the fourth time, he's like, nice to meet you, gotta go. And within 7 seconds, he leaves me in the hallway. His handlers get him out of the hallway, out of the lobby, into the limo, and out the door and down the street before I have a chance to say, nice to meet you. So I was holding my own till I just started spewing lines from The Brothers McMullen. So that was my brush with Ed Burns. The Brothers McMullen, the family of McMullen is the sequel. That came out right around the holidays, I think. And then he has a book out. So needless to say, I am a super fan of Ed Burns, who played, right? He was in Saving Private Ryan. He did a couple of other independent movies. But Long Island boy grew up and did good and did us proud. So anyway, maybe we'll get him on the show one day and I can geek out over him again. All right, stay right there. We are going to take a quick break. Oh, a little programming note. We got word today that the text line is officially approved. Don't ever work for a big company. Text line's officially approved. So here's what we're going to do. Starting next week, we're going to get the text line going. So we'll be able to, if you can't call in, you can certainly text in, and we'll be able to you have questions for our guests. You can text in on the guests, and I can get your questions answered. And texting is a great way to sort of get connected with the audience. So we very much look forward to that starting next week. But next hour is open phones. Stay right there. We'll get to that, too. Our executive director is Alex Hinton. Our engineer tonight is Richard Good. I'm McGraw Millhaven. And this is America at Night on Westwood One.
Westwood One presents America at Night. Here's your host, McGraw Millhaven.
With open phones, 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. Crank that up a little bit, Richard. That's my favorite part. You got that part? There you go. I like that part. All right, 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729, 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. It's open phones. We can talk about anything you want. It was about 24 hours ago that we found out that Kyle Tucker signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Then early this morning, we found that Bo Bichette signed with the Mets. Kyle Tucker signed with the Dodgers 4 years, $240 million, $60 million a year. The Mets got Bo Bichette for, well, what is it? Was that $50 million or something? So this 3 years, $130 million. Just bonkers money. But there is a strike looming, and a lot of these players, as a Met fan, I got to tell you, I have no problem with a 3-year contract with opt-outs. I am a true believer that you hit the age 30 now that they're testing for steroids. Once you hit 30, man, your skills diminish, and the players. There's so many teams that overpay, so many teams that sign big contracts for players after their peak, right? You're paying for what they did. You're not paying for what they're going to do. And so Bo Bichette is 27, 28 years old, whatever right? 3 years. I'm okay with that. I know it's not my money, but it just gives me agita when somebody spends $140 million on a baseball player. Plus, there's a lockout coming. So, it's really not 4 years. It's really 3 years, I guess. But this go around, 1 year from today, Major League Baseball is going to be in a massive labor strife. So I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation over the next year or so. But we can talk about that. The Oscars are coming up. The Oscar nominations are coming up next week. Movies, always fun to talk about. Great movies, old movies. I have a 5-year-old, and I'm trying to get her to. It's so interesting, right? You want her. It turns out that children aren't exactly like their parents. I always thought she'd be a mini me, but she's has her own mind and has her own. She doesn't like the same things I like, which I don't quite understand. Why not? Why doesn't she like all the same movies I like? What's going on with this? So I'm trying to get her to sort of, away from, not that Frozen's a bad movie, but, start to show her some of the classics. And she's not there yet, but I'm trying. What did I make her watch the other day? She just didn't get it. Anyway, whatever's on your mind. 1-844-2-McGraw. It's Friday night in the dead of winter, and there's a cold front moving all across the country. So it's you and me enjoying a nice conversation. Maybe you're driving across the country. You just took off for a road trip, and you're turned on the radio, and you're trying to keep yourself awake while you're driving down the road. I've been there. I've done it. Give us a call. 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. Gil in San Antonio, Texas. Gil, good evening. Welcome to America at Night.
Oh, thank you. I heard one of your callers last night wanted to find out about previous recordings of Jim Bohannon and Larry King. And we had a conversation the first couple of weeks that you were on. I was able to help preserve all of those tapes from the early years, going back to Larry King on Mutual. They're preserved at George Washington University at the History Department. They have thousands and thousands of tapes, and I think you might remember the story. The people who had them were going to throw them into a landfill because they didn't understand the historic value of all of those interviews that Jim and Larry did over the years of people in public life. And they're now, as I said, still being cataloged at George Washington University. Now, if you wanted to get something, I would suggest the following. You contact the History Department at George Washington University, and they could probably put a graduate student on whatever project that you wanted. Hopefully what you wanted has been cataloged and taken off analog tape and put in a digital form to be preserved forever. But I felt kind of proud that I was involved in helping preserve all of that.
How did you get involved with it?
Well, I think I told you I had been a guest on Jim's show regarding my imprisonment in Mexico. A lot of talk radio guys helped get me out. And I wanted to get those programs where I had been a guest. And I contacted the company. It was called Lion Recording. They're now defunct and closed. They were in Springfield, Virginia. And they had the contract with Mutual to record all the programs and then make them available to people. You could send in, I forget, $5 or something, and they would send you a cassette of the show that you wanted. And that was all cataloged. But they had a small fire, and everything got mixed up. They couldn't find my stuff when I went to Springfield. And they said, well, we don't know what to do with this stuff. All these old cassette and reel-to-reel tapes, they were going to throw them into a landfill. These were the sons of the owner of the company. I think he had passed, and his sons ended up with the company. And they didn't realize the historic value of all this stuff. So I suggested that they contact Larry King. Larry King at that time was making a lot of money, and people who make a lot of money look for tax deductions. And that's what happened, and that's how where they are now. They're at George Washington. So they're at George
Washington University in their library, and they're in the process of digitizing them or cataloging them. I mean, talk about a Herculean task. Yeah.
Yes, and they went there because George Washington University were the ones who diagnosed Larry King's heart problem and put him on the pathway to a bypass and extended his life for quite a few years. He was a very heavy smoker.
Yeah, sure. Gil, now that you mentioned, I remember that story. You did call me up on that first night, but that first night was a blur. and we had some massive technical issues, and we broadcast with a tin can and a string, and so it was a crazy first night. So I apologize if I wasn't fully listening to the show the first night, because it was when I write the book, there'll be a whole chapter about the first night I hosted Larry King and Jim Bohannon's show. But that's a great story. Hey, Gil, thanks for checking in. Have yourself a good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye. You
got it. Yeah, there you go. You don't realize the things you throw away, right? You throw away pictures you wouldn't necessarily, and then that's the good stuff. You don't throw away those tapes. Those tapes are legendary. So yeah, no, it's like to go there one day and just put the headphones on and listen to some old Larry King shows. Listen to some old Jim Bohannon shows, right? Back in the day, how much fun would that be? Talk about a treasure chest of information, so you could take it and, right? That's good stuff. Thank you, Gil. I appreciate it. 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. That's how it works. You call up, tell me a story. Call me up, ask me a question. Call me up, pick my brain. Call me up, ask me a trivia question. Call me up, challenge me. Call me up, say you like the show, you don't like the show, guest ideas, quirky things that happened. Maybe I said something on the show that triggered something that brought up a funny story. I'm happy to hear it. That's the fun of doing a late-night, coast-to-coast radio show. Maybe we'll get a wild card going in honor of Art Bell. 1-844-2-McGraw or 1-844-262-4729. America at Night. Back in a moment.
Join the conversation. Call 844-2-McGraw. America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. You're listening to America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Hey, 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. Let's go back to the phone. Scott in St. Louis. Scott, welcome to America at Night.
Yeah, I got some good news.
Okay.
Trump's not, it looks like he's not going to do the Insurrection Act. So we're still in a democracy.
At least for another couple days.
It looks like he's not going to bomb Iran, so they're not going to be compelled to make any nuclear weapons, and use them or give them to terrorists. So that's good news. The Congress, apparently, it looks like Congress is they're going to ignore. Trump wanted to make cuts to science funding, and it looks like Congress is going to ignore that on a bipartisan basis. So that's good. And I was doing some calculating through track immigration from Syracuse University. They get all this information about ICE. And at the pace that Trump is going, he's probably going to deport or arrest maybe 600,000 people. So about 10.5 million people are still going to be able to stay in the United States, and their lives will probably not be disrupted.
Was that number in a year or projecting a current pace for his whole 4 years?
I'm projecting. I think I figured, by 2028, which hopefully he won't be here anymore, or at least not in the White House. He probably would deport like 600,000, 700,000 people at the pace that he's going now.
Yeah.
Because, in order to, it's very difficult to deport 10, 11 million people. It costs a lot of money to do that. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're willing.
In terms of numbers, I want to say Obama is still outpacing him by leaps and bounds. Obama, I think he removed something like 2.5 million people. Now, it kind of depends on how you count them and everything else, right? But nobody can argue that Obama, at least, is still, Trump hasn't had his full 8 years yet, but Obama, just if you want to do apples to apples, when it's all said and done, Obama is the deporter in chief. He deported so many more than Trump has. Even with Trump giving quotas for some of the ICE officers, Obama still deported more.
Well, I don't know. I have to look that up.
Well,
I know Obama did. He deported a lot, but see, he focused on immigrants, on undocumented workers that had a criminal conviction, whereas 97% of the people that Trump is arresting do not have a criminal conviction.
Well,
according to Trek.
Yeah. Now, this is where, the world is a Rorschach test, because people will tell you that by crossing the border, that is a crime worthy of being deported. So they don't distinguish between a bank robber and somebody who crosses the border seeking asylum. So, again, it depends on how you want to play the game.
Well,
you see what
Obama,
I'm saying? Well, look, and one more thing here while I have you, Scott. You went back to saying that Congress is sort of giving back a lot of the cuts that Doge made. You left out a very important one. Apparently, Republicans and Democrats are putting back into the budget money for USAID. So even though Doge took, I read that tonight at some point. I'll try and find it on the break. But apparently they're putting money back into the budget for USAID while they're going through this this sort of budget battle and everything else. And apparently it was the best money we ever spent. It was we were exporting American culture in every way, shape, or form and goodwill. It was the best foreign policy money it was the best foreign policy for the bang for the buck. So it was stupid that we got rid of it. It was dumb. It was silly. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, Trump and Musk are, they're like penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Scott, I got to go. Thanks for the check on some of that. I'll check that numbers on the break, and I'll see how right I am. Yep, stay right there. That's Scott from St. Louis. 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729, 1-844-2-McGraw, 1-844-262-4729. America at Night, back in one moment.
Coming to you from the heart of the nation, this is America at Night with McGraw Millhaven. Join the conversation. Call 844-2-McGraw. America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Yeah, hey, I checked on the break. U.S. foreign aid, USAID, is back in the budget for fiscal year 2026. The Congress passed a $50 billion compromise bill in this month. It's a decrease from previous years. And there's some shifts in the priorities, so it's USAID money, and it's going to go to some specific development goals like food security and so on and so forth. But the Trump administration drastically cut USAID and basically brought down to nothing. But this week I was reading, and just a double check with the news, with the Googles. And the cuts, not as much as it was, but the bipartisan budget for 2026, the $50 billion back into for USAID. So whatever Doge cut, Congress is now putting back in a year later. Tyson in St. Louis, thanks for holding on. Tyson, welcome to America at Night.
Thanks, McGraw. What's going to stop Trump from just cutting USAID again? USAID.
No idea.
Yeah. You can put it in there if they want, but I don't think it's going to get spent.
I hear you, but the point is, though, is Congress is supposed to spend the money. Congress does pass the budget signed off by the president, but Elon Musk took it out. Congress put it back in.
Gotcha. So I wanted to make a distinction about the deportations. If you came to the United States legally and just stayed, that's not actually a criminal offense. That's a civil matter. If you entered illegally, that's a criminal offense.
Well, now, hold on a second. Let me ask you this question. Let's say somebody comes in to the country, has a 3-month visa, 6-month visa, 7-day visa, whatever it is, right? They're coming to visit. They're coming to see the World Cup this summer, and they stay, and they're here legally, but their visa expires, and they stay past their visa. Is that a criminal offense?
It is not. That's considered a civil matter. You did not enter the country illegally. Okay. Entering the country illegally is the criminal offense, which is a misdemeanor.
Oh, I see. So the person who walks from Venezuela because they're trying to avoid being caught up in a drug gang and walks through the Darien Gap and walks up Mexico and lands in Laredo, Texas, seeking asylum and comes across, they're breaking the law.
Correct.
Got it.
But if you enter into the asylum program, you're technically not legal. You're in limbo, really.
Well, I thought the asylum program, I thought the laws say, right, if you get to this country and you knock on our door, you are allowed an asylum hearing. And so they register you, they take down your information, and then they allow you to roam the country until your court case comes up to be heard, whether or not you deserve asylum.
Yes, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah. That's also sort of changed, I guess, in the last days of the Biden administration and the Trump administration, where they created the app and you seek asylum before you get here. So that's sort of changed all around, too.
Correct. And Trump also canceled a lot of the asylum that Biden handed out or temporary legal statuses for certain individuals.
Yeah.
That's happening, too.
Yeah. Anything else, Tyson?
Nope, that was it.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too.
It's interesting. I know I like talking about immigration like I like sticking needles in my eye, because it doesn't matter what you say. People only hear what they want to hear. And I've said this before, but it reared its ugly head again. And that is Major League Baseball this week announced their opening, I should say, to the international signing period. Now, what does this mean? Major League Baseball announced that you have between what days of it? You have to. There's certain days, right? It's like a 2-week period or something, where you are allowed to sign players from an international pool anywhere in the world. And I'm looking at the MLB website right here, and they have 50 of the top international players. And it's from 1 to 50. And the number of players from Venezuela is unbelievable. Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba. I mean, those 3 countries, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Cuba, it looks to be, those 3 areas consist of all of the players from the top 50 who have signed with Major League Baseball teams. In other words, These 50 from Cuba, Venezuela, and the Dominican Republic have Luis Hernandez got the highest signing bonus from the New York Giants for $5 million. Right? And the 50th player, Diego Pancho from Venezuela, signed a $700,000 signing bonus with the Cincinnati Reds. Now I ask you, what is the difference between a bunch of Major League Baseball players or a bunch of Major League Baseball owners getting together and saying, okay, next 2 weeks we can sign any player we want from anywhere in the world. And then presumably at some point they're going to come into the country and play baseball for the Giants, the Mets, the Royals, the Reds, the Pirates, the Cardinals, right? What's the difference between that and a bunch of, say, landscapers getting together, or restaurateurs, or farmers, or meatpacking plant companies getting together and say, hey, let's go down to Venezuela and let's find 50 of the best landscapers we can find, sign them to a signing bonus, and bring them into the country. Right? It kills me that we're seeing what we're seeing in Minneapolis, trying to get these people thrown out of the country. And I always say, with great snark and great satire, hold on a second. Before we throw these people out of the country, can they throw a fastball? What can they? What's their batting average? What they do in college? What they do in high school? I don't understand it. We have this visceral reaction to somebody from Venezuela who is fleeing persecution, and we know there's persecution in Venezuela because we just went and chopped the head off the bad guy, right? We just arrested Maduro, so clearly there's oppression going on there. He's a bad guy, or we wouldn't have went and gotten him. So what's the difference between Luis Hernandez getting a $5 million signing bonus from the Giants and being allowed to walk into this country, and Luis Hernandez, who walks from Venezuela and knocks on our door and says, I'd like to come into your country and work for a landscaper? What's the difference? And more importantly, what does this country need? Do we need another Venezuelan shortstop? Or do we need another low-skilled, hardworking person who will be hired by a roofer, a landscaper, a restaurateur? And what does our economy need? Which American is going to fill which job? I'm sure you can find an American shortstop who lost out because Luis Hernandez just signed with the Giants. That means one less American shortstop is going to be signed. But there ain't any Americans who are volunteering to put down their Xbox and get up on a roof and fix the roof in the middle of the summer. So I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Why Major League Baseball is allowed to go to these countries and give these guys millions of dollars, but we want to throw all the bums out. We want to throw them. They have to come into the country legally. Well, what does that even mean? Why can't the landscapers get together and give them H1N1 visas? How come baseball is the only people allowed to do this? How come restaurants can't do this? Why? It makes no sense. So when we talk about immigration in this country, we literally lose our minds over it. Oh, we throw out all the criminals. Oh, really? Of course we throw out the criminals. No, everybody wants the criminals out of the country. Everybody wants the criminals locked up. Whether you're an American citizen or you don't have any papers, we want you locked up, obviously. But the innocent Venezuelan who can hit a baseball, we'll find a place for him in this country. But the undocumented worker who came here to search for a better life, out. We don't want you. Makes no sense. Dylan in Joplin, Missouri, welcome to America at Night.
Yeah, glad to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit. I heard a lot of people tonight calling in about Trump's immigration policy, and it seems like everybody gets so lost on, is it legal, is it illegal? And I think it's because a lot of people don't understand the difference between legal and if it's moral or ethical, right? I mean, I would bring up the example of this Garrison Gibson from Minneapolis. You know, there were a lot of people talking about that one where they're like, you know, oh, well, it was illegal. It's not. I mean, he had a final order of removal back in the year 2009. But the moral aspect of it, you know, where they lure this guy under false pretenses and arrest him while he's sitting in a chair thinking everything's okay, you know, I think people should look more at that, because that's where the government has discretion. The leader of a country has discretion in how we conduct our government, how we govern the country. And really, you're not going to get cooperation. You're not going to get buy-in from the public when you behave that way. And it's going to create a situation where they're less effective in every single mission they pursue.
Every single law enforcement official, if they're being honest, will tell you that you need the immigrants to feel comfortable to call up the authorities to help root out the bad guys. You need buy-in from the immigrant communities for all sorts of reasons. You don't want them hiding in the shadows. You don't want them coming out. You want them to live among that, right? That you want them to feel free to say, hey, you know what? I was somewhere and I saw this. These guys came. You can't be everywhere. You can't stop everybody. You can certainly try, but you certainly can't stop everybody. We learned that from 9/11 because they came in from Canada. Okay, so
that's right.
Right. So we want these people who are in this country right, even though they're here illegally, we give them tax ID numbers, we give them work permits. They're not taking American jobs, they're taking the jobs that Americans will not do. And so do we need to overhaul the system? Absolutely. But let's not lose our minds or lose our country over trying to throw out people who are here for no other reason than to create a better life and become full-fledged Americans. And it makes no sense why we allow shortstops to come in from Venezuela, but not dishwashers. Why are we doing that? Right? We allow coders from India to come in when I'm sure there's an American coder somewhere who's looking for a job who just lost it out to an Indian, right? But we don't allow the guy who wants to be a roofer. So when we talk about immigration, it's so politicized, and people don't even they run to their corners, they run to their political sayings, and they don't even really understand what it is they're saying and or talking about.
Well, it all has to do with, for so many generations, you know, you had conservatives, they knew who they were, and that was that they were defending institutions. And they've totally switched gears. They're now in tear down the institution mode, but they don't know how to do that. You know, they don't know what that sounds like or what a strategy for that even would be. So if, you know, the institution that you're talking about is our immigration system, you know, they're going to tear that down haphazardly. They haven't yet landed that plane. So it's going to look like this. If
one is the biggest Trump supporter and loves everything this man is doing, you better hope that he passes a couple of laws, because the minute he's out of office, they're just going to reverse everything he did. So what good is he doing if he doesn't pass any laws and he's just doing this on his own by a stroke of his own pen? The next guy who comes in is going to change it all around. So even if you like the guy, you better start writing some of these laws in and passing some of these laws, which means, God forbid, compromise. And so we all agree that the immigration system in this country is broken. We are living in an immigration system that was created in 1946 after World War II. It's now, we're coming up on, 80 years of being after World War II? It's time to create an immigration system for the 21st century. And what do we need? We need these types of workers. We don't need these types of workers. We certainly want to protect these industries. We certainly need workers for this industry. And so let's sit down and have a conversation and figure out what we need, because Americans aren't having children. And we need workers in this country. But we don't have that conversation because we would rather bludgeon our neighbor over the head with some political rhetoric as opposed to actually fix the conversation. How long have they been talking about immigration? They'd much rather use it as a political tool during an election cycle than actually fixing the problem. Nobody wants to fix it. They just want to complain about it. So
it's easy to throw. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. Hey, Dylan in Joplin, Missouri, thanks for checking in.
Yeah.
You got it. America at Night. Back in a moment.
America at Night with McGraw Millhaven.
Hey, our thanks to Michael Mackie, who wrote the book, You've Got 4 Minutes. And then Katie Pavlich from NewsNation. She starts her new show on Monday. Caitlin McGarry from Wirecutter. And Theo Lewis Clark, Hollywood exec for a day. We are officially done for the week. A little check-in on Monday. You want to come back. We're going to talk to one of the 52 American hostages that were held by Iran for 444 days. We got a great show, a great week of shows lining up for next week, so you want to come back. Thanks for all you do all week long, and thanks for listening, and thanks for calling, because it is an honor of a lifetime and a tremendous treat to host this show each and every night. So we thank you for all of that. So without further ado, we're going to step aside. Have a great, safe weekend, and we'll be back Monday night on Martin Luther King night. So stay right where you are. Our executive director is Alex Hinton. Our engineer is Richard Good. I'm McGraw Millhaven, and this is America at Night on Westwood One. Good night, everybody.